Hello once again everyone, welcome back to my channel. This week I'm going to be doing my watercolor collection video. Back when I did my studio tour, I asked if people wanted to see a video of me showing my watercolor collection, and a lot of people did, and I know that that was a million years ago, but I'm going to do it now for you guys. Alright, so I'm going to start off with my normal disclaimer for this type of video. If you don't like collection videos, please feel free to skip this one. I'm going to be showing all of the watercolor stuff that I own, just paints, nothing more, but I know a lot of people don't like seeing videos like that, and just wanted to throw that out there. And as usual, I will say that all the stuff I'm going to show in this video was purchased by me with my own money that I worked to earn, or was given to me as a birthday, Christmas gift, whatever. Doesn't matter. And yes, I know people are going to say, why do you own so many watercolors? They all do the same thing. That is not true. I like to try out different types of brands because different brands do different things. So I'm going to talk about the various brands and things that I own and what I like about each one and what I think is going to be good for like somebody who's looking to get into watercolors, like beginner stuff. So I guess I will go ahead and I will get into it. I'm going to start out by showing my very first watercolor palette. So let's just get into this because it might be a little bit long. I'm going to try and go through this a little bit fast since I have a few things to show you guys, but this is the very first watercolor palette that I purchased when I was interested in getting into watercolors for the first time. This is the Winsor & Newton Cotman, it's one of their travel sets. I'll have links down below to all the things that I talk about that can be found online. But it looks like this. The colors in this palette have long since been switched out from the original colors that were in here because I used them all up. I don't even think that the colors that are on this swatch card are the colors that actually came with this set because as I said, have long since changed them out. But this is basically just a little half pan set, and it has a little water dish. Everybody I think has seen. Ugh. This is there it goes. And it has a tray that comes out in it. Most people have seen this. This seems to be a pretty common, whatever, set for people to start out with using, and it worked pretty good for a while. But the Cotman is student grade, and I wanted to upgrade to something a little bit more professional. But I liked this as a beginning watercolor palette. It worked really good. It's small and portable. But yeah, that was my first watercolor palette. So after I decided that I wanted to upgrade to something a little bit more professional, I went into this, and I had this early on in my channel because I showed it once before, but this is a Yarka St. Petersburg palette. I liked that it came with the full pans, and the paint quality is pretty good, but they were definitely a better quality than the Cotmans. So I still have these. I don't really use them that much anymore, but I kind of keep them for, sentimental value because I've had them for so long. Alright, so after I used my Yarka watercolors, I decided to go another step in artist grade, and I went with the m.graham watercolors. These are still my all-time favorite watercolors. I just love them. I know I've talked about these a ton on my channel, but I'm going to talk about them again, and I'm going to talk about my John Pike palette again. I know I've mentioned this quite often, I feel like lately. But anyway, I got some of the m.graham watercolors, and they're local to where I live because I live in Oregon, and so they're really easy to find. And this is my John Pike palette. I know I've shown this so many times, but this is my favorite watercolor palette. I use it all the time. I've used it in quite a few videos, and it just has a selection of my choosing of colors that I like to use a lot. You can see the colors that I use most often. The m.grahams are my favorites, and this is definitely one of my favorite palettes in my collection. Alright, so now I'm going to talk about something that's a little bit more portable. These are two custom palettes that I made using my Daniel Smith watercolors. This is probably my second favorite brand next to the m.grahams. I don't even think I'd call them a second favorite. They're equally great. This one right here is the main one that I use, so I'm going to show it first. And I've shown this in a couple of videos before, but this was just a Prima watercolor. What are they called? They're watercolor confections, and I bought the set of the watercolor confections specifically for the tin, because at the time that I was getting into doing or making my own palette, these tins, the black tins, these were so expensive and so hard to find. They're a lot easier to find now than they were back when I made this set, which was a couple years ago. But these are the colors that are in this set. They're not labeled because I didn't feel like labeling them because I know what colors they are. But this is just a set that, a lot of these watercolor sets, let's see, let me grab one that has the metal tray in it still. Come with a metal tray that you guys have probably seen all of these before, but the metal trays, they kind of pop out, so I popped the one that was in that black tin out, and I just kind of, I can't even get one out, but I used glue dots to kind of stick these in, and so I was able to fit all these colors into one little palette. And this is generally, besides this palette, which I'll talk about in a minute, this is what I always take with me when I go plein air painting outside. This is definitely the most used palette that I have in my collection, and I also have this one, which is kind of like the backup of this one. It has some different colors. These are all Daniel Smith watercolors in this one as well. This is just a more wide variety of colors, and colors that I don't get to as often as I do with this, but yeah, they're just extra colors that I put in my palette. This is the same kind of palette. I just bought 2 of them and took out the original paints that were in them and replaced them with my own. Alright, so this is another watercolor set that I feel like I talk about like every day on my channel, but this is a MissKerrieJ like 36 introductory set. This is a really good starter set if you're wanting to learn watercolors and want to kind of go into a more professional line but don't want to spend like a ton of money. I think this set is $60. It comes with all these colors and this palette. The colors come in little boxes like this. This is just where I keep them to kind of keep them together. This is definitely, of my collection of MissKerrieJ paints, this is one of the ones that I use the most, and I'm going to show you a couple other ones from this same brand that I use as well. So this is a set that I actually very recently got, so I haven't used it as much as I would like. But this is just the Mission Gold pan watercolor set, and these are pretty interesting. It's just like a travel pan set. If I can get this to come out, that'd be great. There it goes. But yeah, they just come in little pans like this, and it's just really portable because I like to be able to take these out and about, and sometimes I want to have a smaller palette than the one that I'm using, but I really like this. I am looking forward to when it's nicer weather out so I can take this out when I go watercolor painting. Every time I have this palette on camera, it makes my camera colors look really weird, so just kind of ignore that for a second until I open it. This is the Pure Pigment Studio palette, and it's meant to go with the Pure Pigment set, which I also have right here. But basically, the Pure Pigment set is a set of 24 colors that you can mix together to make a bunch of other colors. And they're all, as I said, single pigment colors, and you can, it comes with a guide to mix them all together, but mine is nowhere to be found. I'm sure I still have it, but I don't have it with me right now. But basically you can see some of these slots have 2 or 3, sometimes more colors in them, and you kind of mix them together on the palette to make other colors. It's a really good way to learn color mixing. It was pretty interesting putting it together and actually trying it out and using it. But yeah, as I said, these are the paints that are in the Pure Pigment set. I also have the 36 set of this, but I'm not going to show those because they have a lot of similar colors that are in this, and those were a gift, and I haven't even opened them yet because I'm not going to use them until these are all used up, but a lot of them are getting there. But this is a pretty cool set too if you're looking for more professional watercolors. I really like the MissKerrieJ. I think they're very vibrant and the pigments are good, and this is a good set. I like using this one a lot. So another set of the MissKerrieJ paints that I have is the Silver Class paint set. You don't really see much information about the Silver Class out there, and I've used these a little bit. I don't have too much experience with them. This is their student grade, but they're pretty much the same as their artist grade watercolors. They're just as good, they're just as vibrant. The pigments may be a bit different, but this is another great option if you are looking to get started out with watercolors. These tubes are 7.5 milliliter tubes, but these will last a really long time because this is a really good set to start out with if you are looking to try out this brand or just want to get into watercolors in general. This is a pretty interesting set. And I just really like the MissKerrieJ brand. I think that they make really good paints, and they're not too horribly expensive compared to some other brands that I've used. Alright, we're getting close to the end. I'm going to show you guys my Schminke watercolors, and then I have some more like little pan sets of fun and interesting watercolors that I have, and then we will be done. This was a gift that I got for myself for my birthday last year, and this is the Schminke 48 pan set. There are more than 48 pans in here because, just like always, I went in and put some extra pans in of colors that I really liked. There's also a gold and a silver in here, which came with the set, so that was kind of cool, as well as an oxcal, which is pretty interesting for a watercolor set to include. But I use this a lot. I like Schminke Watercolors because I've used these quite a lot, and you can barely tell that they've been used. Like, you can see that there's indentations in most of them. I have certain colors that I like to use more than other colors, but Schminke is great. Schminke is very expensive, but they're really good quality. And I really like this set, but it is a big set, so it's one of those sets that kind of stays at home with me. The watercolor set that goes out with me if I want to paint with Schminke is this one. I mentioned this in my Art Supplies Favorites video from a couple weeks ago, but this is the Hazel Sohn, I think it's how you pronounce her name, watercolor palette with the addition of these two colors, which I put in here on my own as well. It's these colors right here, and I just liked the kind of interesting color choices that were included in this set, and there was no white and black. Since, as I said, I don't use white and black, I always kind of look for sets that don't include those colors, because I feel like it's kind of, for me personally, it's kind of a waste because I don't ever use those colors and end up replacing them out anyway. So I saw this set and I saw that it didn't have a white and a black in it, so I went ahead and grabbed it, and I really like this. This is a really great set. If they still have it, I bought it on Amazon. If they still have it, I'll link it below so you guys can check it out too, because it is a very interesting color selection to paint from, and I really like it a lot. And these are 3 sets that I just got a couple days ago. I posted about them on my Instagram and people seemed curious about them. I'm gonna do videos about these. These are the Prima Watercolor Confections. These are the 3 newest sets that they released. I haven't used these watercolors, like this brand, in a really, really long time, and I see that the branding has changed quite a bit since the last time I bought one, but I'm very curious because these the colors in these sets are really pretty, especially this one I'm super excited about. I haven't even opened these yet, and I'm not going to open them until I actually make a video about them, so if you guys want to see a video about these, because they're super affordable, you can leave me a comment down below. Alright, we are almost done. So I have these. Most people probably have seen these by now because they're so cute. These are the Jane Davenport watercolors. You can buy these at Michael's. I'm not going to pretend like I didn't buy these for the tins because the tins are so cute, especially this one. I love this color. I haven't got to use these very much yet, but these can be a little bit difficult to find because they're super popular right now, but they are pretty good quality, especially if you're going to be starting out with watercolors and you want like a cheaper option. I definitely recommend checking out Michael's for these because they are pretty cool. I need to get around to using this one since I haven't really had the chance to use them yet. Yeah, see, I haven't even opened them and taken them out of their packaging yet. Yeah, really need to use this one and try it out and see how I feel about it. Only got a couple of things left. These are a product that I recently discovered and also recently found out that they discontinued and don't make anymore, which is really sad. These are the Winsor & Newton Professional Watercolor Large Pans. These are gigantic. I don't know if you guys can tell. Let me get a half pan out so I can show it to you guys. So this is a standard size half pan. Look at that. Look how big. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I heard that these have been discontinued and they don't actually sell them anymore. So I grabbed this one off of Jackson's when it was on clearance, and then I grabbed this one. I don't remember where I got this one from, but I'm looking for a yellow, so then I can have like a primary set, because I can do anything I want with a primary set. I've had these and I haven't taken them out of the packaging yet because I haven't had time to be able to use them, because I need to find a place to store them since they don't have tops on them. But yeah, I wish that I had discovered these sooner because they are pretty cool. Alright, so this is one of my favorite things, which I actually lost and just recently rediscovered. This is my watercolor set from Redwood Willow, which these are really, really great if you can ever get your hands on some of these watercolors. I definitely recommend trying them out, and especially this color set is so unique and interesting. I'm going to do a video about these. I have wanted to do one for a while, and I just have not got around to it yet. Alright, so this is the last of the tins, and then I'll show you guys my big watercolor box, and then we will be done. And these are another set of watercolors that are very, very, like, precious because they're so hard to get. And I have 2 sets, and these are other things that I use very sparingly because they're very hard to come by. So these are 2 sets and then some additional colors from Greenleaf and Blueberry. They have a website, an Instagram, and they make handmade watercolors using natural pigments. And these watercolors, they're not cheap. They're very expensive, and they're really hard to get a hold of because they only sell a very limited amount certain times throughout the month. And I've had these sets for a while, and I really, really, really like them, but I try to use them, as I said, really sparingly because they're very expensive. So these are ones that I have to be doing like a specific thing, and I want a specific look because these are made from natural pigments, so they have a lot of texture and granulation in them. And I have some double colors because I purchased 2 sets. They're very, very nice, and I just kind of cherish them because I know that I probably won't be getting any more anytime soon because they're so hard to get. So I had a little bit of a hard time getting this into frame, and I am standing up to get this into frame. This is my watercolor box. I showed this in my studio tour, so if you want to see like a more like detailed shot of what this looks like, I'll also include one in here. You can check that video out too. But this was an old tea box which I purchased used off of Amazon, and the plexiglass was cracked, so I popped it out and replaced the plexiglass. And then I use the compartments that are supposed to hold tea bags to hold watercolor paints. So these are all my watercolor tubes. Most of them are Daniel Smith, and then there's Schminke. The Schminke tubes that are in here are actually not really used because I'm going to put them in my big porcelain palette, which I am still going to do a video about. I know people have asked me to do it, but yeah, there's a lot of old paints in here. The older stuff that's more used up is on the bottom, and the newer stuff is on the top. But yeah, this is basically where I store all my tube watercolors. And I'm actually not going to close that because it's super reflective. On the bottom, it has this drawer, and this is where I store my gouache paints. And I know I've shown this to you guys before, but I'll do a better close-up version so you guys can see this in a little bit more detail. But yeah, this is how I store all of my tube paints. Alrighty guys, so that is it for my watercolor collection video. I hope that wasn't too painful. I'm glad that I finally got to be able to film that since I know I said I would do it a long time ago. As usual with my videos, if you have any questions or want advice on what types of watercolors to get and try out, if you're looking to try out new watercolors, you feel free to leave me a question down below and I'll do my best to answer. And if there's any palettes that I showed or paints that I showed that you want me to do a video on, please feel free to leave me a comment down below as well, and I will try my best to include links to everything that I talked about. Obviously palettes like this, which I made, I won't be able to link to where you can purchase it since this is something that I made myself. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and my 100K giveaway is coming up. I've been super busy, so I'm working on getting that all together for you guys. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Give this video a like. It helps to support me a lot. And subscribe if you are not already. I try to post videos every Friday. Sometimes it doesn't happen, sometimes it does. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week. Bye!